This Week in Each Week is brought to you by Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience. Well, hello and welcome to yet another Game All Night. We're in the holiday season right now, and the last episode Dan picked out a rather wonderful holiday beer. So what do we think of, Dan? Did we go holidays again?
See now you're superimposing this theme on after the fact. So in fact there was no holiday theme here, but I really think you're going to enjoy it. Well, let me rephrase that. I really enjoy this beer, and I have no idea what you're going to think of it. So you might just be suffering so that I can enjoy it. But this is from Propolis Brewing, which is out of Washington State, and they're an unusual brewery that defies styles. They call a lot of their ales farmhouse ales or saisons, but reality they're willing to put any herb in there that they think will make for an interesting, exciting beer. They will confess to juniper on this one, but there's other spices going on in here as well. So has the tartness of a wild ale or a saison with some cool spice blends, and I find it's really nice. This is Sati, by the way. I think I skipped that. Sati from Propolis Brewing.
All right, yeah, it's definitely more wild than saison, I would argue, right?
Yeah, I think the saison is applied very loosely. I don't think there's really, any terms for their beers, but
and it's awfully
ale with
dark.
Spices. Yes,
I wasn't expecting that.
When I say saison, this is not what you're bracing yourself for, but it's a delicious beer.
No, it's absolutely. It's got a little sour. Guess that's coming from the live yeast and everything sitting in there. Nice. It's a nice conversational beer. I'll take that every time. Thank you, sir. Another excellent pour. But I don't know that Ambie has anything to drink, but we can bring her on to find out. Hello, Miss Ambie. How are you doing tonight?
Hello. I'm doing well. How are you?
Outstanding. Thank you. So are you drinking anything with us tonight?
Well,
and
I've
it's
got
okay if you're not.
Water bottle.
There you go. That's fair.
I don't really like the taste of beer.
Oh, well, a lot of people don't, believe me. And they're not far off because it's definitely an acquired taste, I would argue. So nothing wrong with that. At least you didn't have a recent guest on had really bad water. It was canned water, and it was absolutely horrible. Like, they were complaining about it the whole time. I'm like, are you just like, so you basically you're drinking this because you have to finish the 12 pack that you bought at this point. Like, what's the purpose, right? We don't judge, but if people participate, they're more than welcome to. Well, people who've been around the show and have been, they've seen our top 5 countdowns. Ambie and I've done a few different things on the channel, so she's no stranger to the show at all. She's, in fact, one of the videos that's actually most watched on the channel is our 18XX top 5 countdown. I guess
Really?
People don't count down 18XX that often, so we come up a lot, and we just lost Dan. But that's so we kind of went through that because we kind of been on this journey kind of at the same time. Although you're playing a lot more than I am these days, but. Also, you're one of the founding members of Board Game Blitz, so you spend a lot of time doing the audio for that and everything. So how's that going? How are you guys enjoying that?
Yeah, we're enjoying it a lot. We've branched into video, too, as well. I had done some video on the YouTube channel, but now Crystal's also doing some video, and we're both doing video on the Dice Tower.
Right.
So that's really exciting. We actually just recorded our first podcast in the same room because Crystal is in Las Vegas and I'm in California, and we never record in the same room. So we both went to BGG Con.
And it's actually like Northern California. It's not, LA is only about 4 hours. It's not that bad, but you're actually like Northern. So it's like an 8-hour drive if you wanted to make that happen.
Yeah, or longer. It's actually like close distance wise,
right?
Like by the crow flies, but you have to drive down to LA and then back up because there's mountains.
Yeah, silly mountains. The Sierra Nevadas, whatever. They're little things. They're whose passes are usually closed in the middle of winter and everything because.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually one of the cool things about being in California is if you're a skier like I am, you can drive 2 hours and you can be up in some of the best mountains around in the Cascades or down in the Sierra Nevadas. So it's not a bad life. It can be its own set of trials, as we found recently with the fires, which I just learned, like, Ambie stayed home from work today because air quality's bad because of these. It's not good. It's not good. It's difficult, but, you know, I think it just goes to say that there's no perfect place to live. Everybody's got their own set of challenges. We just hope that everybody's safe as much as they can be in the process. But absolutely. So enough of that. So you and Crystal were in the same room. You got to record a show together. So you guys do Board Game Blitz, for those of you who did not listen to, I believe it's episode 2 or 3 Crystal was on. So it's been a little while. But she basically gave the rundown of Board Game Blitz. But if somebody's brand new to our show, how would you describe the show in a nutshell?
We're a 30-minute podcast about board games.
Hence the Blitz part of the podcast. And they do. They get right to the point. It's very quick. It's very good. And the nice thing is you and Crystal have like completely different taste.
Yeah. We have like a little bit of overlap, but mostly she plays more thematic games or lighter games. And I play like 18xx games and real-time cooperative games.
Yeah, so you like the longer term, the longer term planning and strategy and things like that and stuff. So, but that's good because I think it's important. Well, obviously, I'm an 18xx player, as many people know. So
no, wait a second. Before we go off on that tangent, she snuck in real time co-op in there, which was like a little sidewinder besides the 18xx that we all know about.
Were you not expecting that, Dan? Did you have a question about that?
No, just to making sure that real time co-op got its credence here. Like where does Space Alert sit on this?
There you go.
That's actually, when I made my top 100 list, it's number 2.
Wow.
On my list.
Spoilers.
I gave myself away as not having consumed that, but yeah, that's tremendous.
But what's number 1 is the question. But you're gonna have to watch the video. I know.
Ooh, look at that little tease.
But I'm gonna make you go hunt down that video.
All right, now you can return to your regularly scheduled 18xx programming.
No, we're not. I don't want to go too far into this, but I think it's just. What I think is awesome is that there's not a huge community that kind of talks about it in a casual manner. Okay, like there's several programs that talk about it, and back in the day, Heavy Cardboard used to when Tony was on, but it's just it doesn't really get brought up a lot, so I don't think it hits a lot of people's radars, and I think the train guys kind of get shoved into a corner, and sometimes we belong there. I'm not gonna lie. We're sitting around playing something that does not look like it changes throughout the course of 4 hours to most people. Like maybe they see a few extra colors on the board, but I get that. But at the same time, I think it's great that there's somebody on mainstream media who talks about these things, even to the point where you now are starting to do this for the Dice Tower. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, I started a series on the Dice Tower for 18xx games specifically. So I have, I think, 5 videos out right now. The first was an intro to what they are, and then I've talked to some about like where to get them, and I forget what the other ones were.
So the gravitas, no, it's where to get them, right? It's not like I can go to my friendly local game store who has, Carl, I love you, but you stock way too many games, and somebody needs to have an intervention because he does. His shelves are overflowing onto the floor. But if you go check out 18xx, he's got 3, right? Because he's got GMT, really? He's got Mayfair, and that's it, right? Because they don't really exist outside of the specialty printers, right?
Yeah, our local game store has none, so 3 is a lot.
Right? It's like if I need 56, 46, or I'm drawing a blank on what the other one is. It's just that's it. That's all you can get. It's but it's tough, and it's because they're not mainstream, and because they're usually boutique printers. I mean, heck, you and I have Cleveland, which arrives in a art box, like that picture that I'd store pictures in, right? Literally.
Yeah. Well, our copy of Cleveland is actually the demo copy. Like, we bought it off of the designer.
Oh, wow.
Right there after we played the demo with him. So it's not even like the published version of it.
Which, if we want to bring this full circle and close this conversation out, when I first met Ambie, was on her way to that demo at Gen Con last year. Well, in 17. Because you and Toby were rushing off to go demo that. And I guess that's when you liked it enough, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So we'll try to we might revisit 18XX because I have some fun to do with that maybe. But the important thing is check out our videos because they're definitely great. If you don't know what 18XX is about, or you're just 18XX curious, it's a great place to start.
That's the idea of them, so.
Exactly. It's like they're not these big scary things. Yes, they take a while, but they share a lot more with board games than they do with other things. You do the Board Game Blitz, and you guys definitely spend a lot of time talking about games and, trying to fit in a lot of different things along the way. Crystal does her etymology segment where she talks about the words and things like that. So how did you guys kind of come up with the format to say, like, it's only going to be 30 minutes? Like, where did that idea kind of come from? So
there was a thread on Reddit that said, I think there was a thread about like what's missing from board game podcasting. And one of the answers was women in podcasting. 3 of us responded in that thread saying like, hey, I'm a woman, I could do that. And that was Crystal and me and Cassidy. And so we talked to each other on Facebook for a while because that was, I think, 3 years ago, like September or something. And then we didn't actually publish our first episode until March of the next year. So we were talking a lot about what we thought would be good. And we wanted to do something else that was also missing. And another thing that we saw was that short podcasts are missing. A lot of podcasts were in the hour or longer range.
Right.
And people wanted like a 30-minute one for their commute. So we decided to combine that together. And at the same time, another thing that I was thinking was that short instructional videos were not around because they're like Watch It Played and Gaming Rules both have really good instructional videos, but they're longer and I have a short attention span. So I wanted something that was shorter. And I actually told my husband, Toby, because he's really good at teaching rules, that he should make rules videos. And he didn't want to. And he said that I should do it. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do that as well. And it would work with the podcast, like, so Board Game Blitz, because it's just quick, short things.
It's really interesting because you guys didn't even like meet each other for, I think it was almost 2 years, right? Yeah.
It was either 1 or 2.
It was definitely a while, and it wasn't until I think it was in Las Vegas, right, for one of the what is now Dice Tower West. You wouldn't know it, and I think that that's true of a lot of podcasts, right? That there's a lot of people who might live in different areas, but they share a similar feeling and vibe and everything. And I think it's wonderful that we can still come together, have a conversation, and it's like we've known each other, we're friends, and never even met anybody. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of any other hobby that kind of does that, where, you've met these people and you talk to them, but you know them. Does that make sense?
I think that's happened in other hobbies for me, too.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I have some niche hobbies, but I used to be in the Rubiks Cube hobby.
Okay.
Where we do competitive Rubik's Cube solving for speed. It's called speed cubing. And that was a small community back then. And a lot of people just knew each other just from going to conventions. And that's actually how I met my husband.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
So we need to back up. First of all, you all need to know that I have never solved a Rubiks Cube in my life. I'm one of the people. You remember that guy? You would like take his Rubiks Cube and it would literally fall apart in your hands because you took it apart so many times. That was me. Like, I wasn't the sticker guy. I was the guy who wedged that thing apart and like actually like put it back together so it was right. So I never actually even solved a Rubik's Cube. So to know that people do this for speed just blows my mind. Like, I think I'm kind of smart. I think I am. So you're telling me that there's people who not only do this for speed, but then there's conventions that are based around this.
Yeah, I never really seriously competed because I wasn't fast enough to place. So it's kind of like a convention, but also a competition. But everyone just goes there. We had some in Las Vegas, some in San Francisco, and then we would hang out with the other cubers.
Really?
So now I do have to ask. Now I think, by the way, Chris, I'm assuming you aren't aware that the record is somewhere around 4 seconds. Is that right?
No.
Ambie, am I in the right ballpark?
Yeah.
Can I ask what your top time was for a cube solve?
In competition, I think my single solve was around 13 or 14 seconds. Not sure.
And by the way, this is not fast enough. She's asserting for competitive play at 13 seconds. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, back then, that was like my one fastest. My average fastest was, I think, around 15 to 16 seconds. But that was like fastest. Normally, I was 18 to 20.
That's amazing.
So the other part of my brain is going like, I want to know like how do you mix these up so that everybody is operating on the same level? Like what goes into making sure that they're all jumbled to the same distance? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we actually helped organize the competitions. So there's computer programs that generate a scramble, and it will tell you what to do to scramble the cube. And we would scramble everyone's cube the same way.
Okay.
So they get the same scramble each time. I think now the competitions are a lot bigger, so they actually have different heats where each heat is scrambled the same way, but then different from a different heat because they can see the scramble ahead of time otherwise.
All right, but then the computer is probably controlling the steps to solve. I guess like the minimum steps to solve is probably. Wow, I had no idea. Am I right? Are there like Bluetooth and connected Rubik's Cubes nowadays?
I would be prepared to believe it. There is a hot market, I know, on speed cube goods, like people making cubes that are designed for ease of manipulation. Ambie would know more.
That whole thing just, if you haven't figured it out, it fascinates me because it's one of those things that falls in the category of I could never quite do it. But then again, I've never tried it either. So.
Well, that's the biggest hurdle.
Well, I mean, I used to play around with one in school, but then obviously I've never I haven't tried it since I'd say my brain developed, but I don't think that's exactly what I mean. And I'd argue that it's kind of developing now, not evolve. Wait a sec, that's wrong. You know what I mean, devolving. Okay, whatever. No, it's funny. I kind of want to see, like, I want to put you and Gil Hova in a room because the whole time I had Gil on the show, he's fiddling with the speed cube.
Oh.
So I kind of want to like cage match and you did, and somebody saw it. If you were paying attention to the screen at the middle, I had to put that foremost and center on your green screen because like you went as one of the other hobbies that you love is Disney. You're well documented fact. You've been on Flip Flority's show. You actually combined Disney and 18XX. Like if anybody can make it happen, it's you. And then you actually went I believe it was a Cinderella dress specifically, but you know, she did a princess. She made this thing, people. Like I saw all these parts like showing up on your Twitter feed, and then all of a sudden it's like it's a dress. I'm like, wait, what? How does that work? I don't understand.
It involves mice, Chris.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
Dogs and mice.
Mice and song.
Mice and song. Yeah, you leave it downstairs. This is what happens, right? You leave it downstairs and you come down the next day and it's done. That's
That's what happened.
I don't know. See, but I get it because there's people who they gravitate towards different things, and I love to find out what people really enjoy because it's amazing. For me, it's kind of woodworking, and I can run electrical in my basement. I can make those kind of things happen, but I can't sew a pillow if I had to. It's just like it's amazing the different skill sets we kind of grow up with. So where do you think you kind of got your love for these kind of hobbies from? Was it something you were exposed to young, or is it just something you kind of said, I think I could do that?
I think some of both. So my mom sewed,
okay,
and I learned from her a little bit when I was a kid. For the Rubiks Cube, my dad actually figured out how to solve it when it came out. He did some moves, wrote down what happened, and then put it back and did that for a long time until he had a solution. And when I was a kid, we used to mix it up and hide it in the house for him to find and solve it. And I didn't want to learn it when I was little. But then in high school, one of my friends could solve it. So then I was like, oh, I want to learn now. And so that made me want to learn it. And then my dad taught me, and then I started getting faster.
Isn't it cool to have, I love those moments that you have with your parents when you kind of go to them and you're kind of like, okay, that thing that you kind of do that I didn't care about for the longest time,
Yeah.
and you kept trying to shove down my throat, and kind of, I'm ready now. Like I it's like so that must have been like a lot of fun to be able to kind of share that together, right?
Yeah. And then actually my whole family at one point, my whole family could solve a Rubik's Cube, and we all went to a competition together. My mom doesn't like doing it as much.
She seems to be more of the free will kind of make things, not necessarily problem solve that.
Well, she's not as good at spatial stuff. So she doesn't like geometry. She actually tutors math, but
okay.
She doesn't like geometry because it's more spatial. And then the Rubik's Cube, the 3D part of it, she doesn't like.
I don't know. But what I do know is I know that Patrick Hillier makes some funny puns. And I think we need to take a break and we need to hear one of those because you all want to run out and buy a Rubik's Cube right now and see how fast you are, because I know I'm not doing it in 13 seconds. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back after this. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I have not scared off Ambie. I tried. I was gonna try and make her get a Rubik's Cube in the break and do it live, but that's mean. But instead, I'm gonna play. I don't want to say a game because I don't even think it's a game, but. In 18XX, we use tiles, and if you've played anything like Railways of the World, Steam, Age of Steam, anything like that, you've seen railroad tiles before. Okay, there's nothing new here, but the one problem with 18XX is that these tiles are usually a limited pool sitting in front of one person who kind of sorted them, right? Like they're just kind of, or you're lucky if they're sorted, I should say. Like if you got those fancy jewelry trays or something that I've seen some people have, but
that's what we use.
I bought them. I've yet to use them, so that's neither here nor there. So I thought it would just be fun to kind of see because we're over 3,000 miles apart. What do you call these tiles that are that you're playing with, because you literally have to ask somebody for them eventually because somebody's passing them to you, or in your case, if you have fancy trays, you can just grab them yourselves. But we've developed nicknames. I think it's fair to say, right? So this is not rehearsed. I mean, I think we know one of the answers, but that's about it. But I'm just kind of curious, like, what you call things. So we'll just kind of take turns. I put Dan on the spot, so we're gonna pull up the little games with guests kind of.
I'm the Vanna White. No,
You're totally the Vanna White.
I need the names of one of the lovely assistants on The Price is Right, because that's really my function. Is I'm just holding up the merchandise. That's my role in this here operation.
Dan, I got nothing for you. I have no idea of any of those names at all.
Exactly.
None.
But
so I figure you can show us a tile, and then we'll kind of take turns. Like, what do you call these? Because it's more out of curiosity than anything else. Because I'm like, we have different names for them, and I think they're funny. You know, it's as much humor as we get in 18XX. So we have to.
It's a laugh-a-minute genre. That's why I'm sure, Ambie. That's why Space Alert and 18XX appeal to you. Is both the comedy aspect of both.
Sure.
Games.
Yeah.
Stress has nothing to do with it. One, the stress is stressed out over 6 hours, and the other, it's like 6 minutes. It's a little different. So Dan, what is our first tile here?
We got this yellow fella here.
Oh.
Can you see that? Okay, Chris. And then
You went around and picked that up, did you?
no one knows that I dropped that. That's
So this one has a twin brother. That
I can bring him up too.
You can.
If we can do these two at a time, like.
And I think these are pretty common, right? These are yellow tiles, one track, nothing big. So what do you call these guys?
The gentle curve and a tight curve.
And like, hey, exactly. I put a ding in here if I could, but that's exactly what we call them. There you go. Nice. Well done, Dan. Well done.
I'm
All right.
an expert at this.
They get a little harder after here because really, when it comes to yellow, you have 3 choices, right? For those of you playing along at home, you have straight, gentle curve, and tight curve. So, and if you need the one that curves the other way, you turn it. Pro tip. Also, a pro tip to actually count how many of these are in a game, because sometimes you can wind up not having any.
Yep.
All right, Dan. What's our next one look like?
So this to you first. I got
All
that
right.
guy, and then for our guests at home.
We call it the chicken foot.
That's exactly what we call it. It's like the chicken foot. Well, you said you also heard it called the crow's foot. That's the one we knew about. The chicken foot.
Yeah, I just heard it last week called the crow's foot, and we're like, oh, but you mean the chicken foot?
Like, crow's foot's awfully dark, though. I mean, that's kind of foreboding.
Well, I guess the track is black.
Okay, that's fair. I'll let it go. All right, sir.
You got that?
Yeah. So this one's hard, especially the way you're holding it, because that's the K.
Wait,
Yeah, we call that K too.
You mean the
There
K?
you go. Exactly. We'll see. Its brother might come up. They get a little more tricky as we get into these, I think.
I swear the way we should be doing this is I should be trying to guess what some of these things are, because I do not.
Okay.
I don't know if I have names for anything.
We've exhausted
I don't know if I have a name
the
for
font
that.
of curious name.
Yeah. No.
No, should I speed through these and you can tell me the
What's
next
your
time
name for it?
we hit one? I've got nothing so far.
So these guys, these are really just kind of fancy Ys, right? Because we don't get too many Ys in the game. I've heard that called the Adirondack chair, because it looks like it's a little seat.
I can see that.
Yeah. That's just that's
traditional
just a
little branch there.
just a branch.
That's 23 or 24.
Wow.
Wow.
See, here's the next level
I
tech.
got confused though.
You don't need a name when you have all of the IDs memorized.
Right, because that's actually so.
Because this is, in fact, I don't know if the camera's going to get tile 24 right there.
Yeah,
but,
because that's the other thing about the 18XX that a lot of people don't know is sometimes a game will tell you, oh, you can use the tile set from 1846, but use these tiles only. Don't use these or use. Every tile in every game is numbered. and cross-pollinated.
Gotcha. But I'm curious, by the way, which of your games are we using?
This is 46, so they're easy to hold and they're big and chunky.
They are lovely and chunky. So here I would have gone with Crossing the Streams.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So if you turn that 90 degrees, Dan, that is clearly a bow and arrow, right?
Oh.
It's not a pitchfork?
It's not a pitchfork or
could be a
trident.
pitchfork.
That's a trident.
Yeah,
No.
trident.
I think this is hysterical. There's two other people that do. So
You even see what I was showing there?
So Dan,
I don't know what makes this work.
What are we doing on Saturday?
We are going to play some Battlestar Galactica.
That's a total base star.
Yeah, see, I was going with the tile looked like
What's
a
that?
baseball.
If you hold it flat, that's a base star.
I see where you're going from. Is there a big cross section between the folks crossover rather between the folks who play 18xx and who play Battlestar Galactica? Is that
I don't know.
enough for?
Hey, if I care, see now this one again, you need to rotate it 90 because that is clearly 90, not 180. Mm-hmm. There you go. Mm-hmm. That's a picnic table. Come on. Right?
It is.
So that is the picnic table. So there you go. If you ever want to play 18xx and look like you know what you're talking about, don't listen to me. Call it a 24 or 25, guys, girls, because that's a boss right there. I thought it was funny. I will say though, I'm glad I didn't actually make a game out of that. I don't imagine that would have been good.
Yeah, now I feel bad for not naming all of our tiles.
Yeah, but I kind of hope that maybe this inspires you to kind of. Can you please pass me the princess, or can you please pass me Cinderella's coach? I want to see this kind of take hold and gather on. But maybe see, you know what it is? Maybe the introduction of the jewelry trays that you use kind of pulls this out of the game for you, and maybe you need to have the Ziploc baggie with all the tiles in it and just kind of say, hey, I don't know.
Well, our games also go pretty quickly, I think, because of the jewelry trays, so we wouldn't be able to play on a weeknight.
Yeah. No, she's absolutely right. I do recall once playing Railways of the World with somebody who literally had every tile in a GMT tray, and it drove us nuts because we had a map, and if you wanted a tile, you had to ask, and you asked for it by name, and it kind of turned me off to it because it took so long to play. And then, of course, if you've ever played Railways of the World, you flip them over, and there's something different on the back. Final rabbit hole, I swear. No, that's in a mountain region, so you have to play with the mountain side of the tile, not the green side of the tile. Because Railways is a different animal altogether. But
so now I'm curious, though, because I don't know if I've heard anyone proposing that they could get a game of 18xx fit into weeknights. So, how quickly are you guys getting through plays of these?
Oh, her and Toby? Oh, yeah. I'll let her tell you.
Well, okay, we don't usually play on weeknights because we need to get people over to play. But we actually played a 6-player game of 1830 at BGG Con on Friday, and that took 2.5 hours.
What?
No bankruptcy.
That's impossible.
No bankruptcy.
And it was with 2 new players.
With 2 new players, no bankruptcy. Did the diesels run?
No.
Okay. Because I cannot calculate those things, and it takes me forever. That's fast.
No diesels were bought, so
All right,
if diesels got bought, there would have been a bankruptcy.
That was awfully nice of you not to buy them then.
This is the series of instructional videos that the world needs. You talk about Board Game Blitz. You need to be informing the rest of the world of how to get through 6-player games in 2.5 hours. That's remarkable.
Let's be honest, and back out of 18xx, because it's not just an 18xx problem, and I'll use air quotes for that. AP is, it's a thing, right? When you have too many options, you want to make sure you're making an optimal play, right? So at what point do you say, I don't care about the optimal play, I just care about what I'm doing right now? Like, how do you balance that? Because if you're playing a 2-hour game, you're probably not making the single best choice, or the most informed choice, I guess, is the best way to ask.
So I guess for me, I'm thinking constantly about the game while I'm playing. So I think on other players' turns and on my turn what I want to do. So by the time it's my turn, I'm usually already like making the optimal play, and there's not much more I would be changing if I thought more.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it.
Right. So it's planning. I also think it kind of falls in the category of the games that we're talking about, like this kind of stuff is really, my moves aren't necessarily dependent on what other people do. So my planning stays intact. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if they are dependent on what other people do, I'm usually thinking, like, if someone else does this, then this is what I will do.
Right.
So, so I can think ahead for that.
Right. So, and then how much are you like vested in the result? Like a lot of times I tend to find the people who are AP, they're not necessarily always the winner of a game, but they're usually somebody who's heavily vested in the outcome rather than just kind of enjoying or exploring the experience.
I think I'm both.
Okay.
I like the experience and I like the results. Like I keep track of all the scores and stuff. So I usually like trying to do different things. So not just in 18xx games, but in other like Euro games too. I like trying different strategies and seeing how that works. And like trying to do the best for whatever strategy I'm trying to do. And for keeping track of scores, I'm not sure how useful that is. I haven't really looked back at many of them. It's just for fun.
There's a lot to it, right? Like we want to play games, and when we play games that take 6 hours, or 4 hours, or in your case 2, that's fine. But it's one of those things where I don't know that if we're so heavily vested in the outcome as our personal results. Like I can definitely tell, like, oh, I timed that thing wrong, or I didn't do that thing right. And I think it's a lot more dissection and then introspection when you play a bigger game, because you're a little more concerned about your own play. Like Dan, we play Battlestar Galactica. We'll play that for 2 hours at a game.
Yep, that's about how quick.
Right?
Yeah.
If you lose, how much dissection of that do you give yourself?
I mean, I think you were fishing for an answer that I'm not going to give here, because I'll be honest. I think I'm going to walk through each of the significant moves I made in those games. I usually know where the big turning points were, and I will we'll talk afterwards about whether I did the right thing. But you were right, though, that it is about, did I do the best play for me? Because that's a game where, you can do the best. You can play optimally or close to it and still not get the right outcome. It's not always entirely in your hands, but I do ask a lot of questions about my own, play, and did we make the right decisions at certain key points?
Yeah, and I think that makes sense across the board. But you did key in on something interesting, and I think that this is curious, and I want to ask you, Ambie, so you got done 1830 in 2 hours. You had 2 new players. How long or what was the table like when you all were done?
We were talking about what happened in the game and how close it was. And if the game had lasted 1 operating round shorter, then someone else would have won and things like that. Right. So yeah, usually at the end of an 18xx game, we're just talking about like what happened in the game and what could have changed if something else would have changed. And in that game, also the new people, they were saying, "Oh, I can see like what's happening now," and we had started writing down the routes on the paper, like how much you're getting each turn, and then they're like, "Oh, I see why you do that now because it goes a lot faster." And so they really enjoyed it. That was good.
Right, and this is kind of where it's all kind of coming together, right? It's not necessarily about winning or losing or keeping score, as you say. I think it's almost more important about, I learned how to play 18xx more after the game than I did during. And I would argue that 18xx is the rule set, frankly, is pretty simple. You need to learn how to operate, and you need to learn how to lay track, and that's really it. And then there's a bunch of little minutia for each one, but it's how it all works together that makes it complicated. And I learned more from dissecting moves after the game was over and after I lost. I can honestly tell you how many times I've won 18xx. I play with a very difficult group. I do not win very often. It's less than a handful of times. And I can tell you each game I won because each victory was very, very unique. And I understood exactly what happened. Like, I triggered the train rush, or I was ahead of things, and I was in the driver's seat. And you learn from those things.
Yeah,
I'm saying that a lot today.
That totally happens. But yeah, that's one thing I like about 18xx games. At the end of the game, we're always talking about what happened and how, like, every turning point in the game and how it was so epic.
Right. And I think this it brings us back to, so why do we play board games in the first place, right? We play them to be with people, to have stories to tell, and to be able to do that. And, for some people, us included, and Dan and I included for different things, but it's the story of that game. Like, you can probably be very, very vivid and clear about each game of 18xx a lot more than you can be a lot of other games, because there's a lot more decision points and turning points. And I don't know, the high I get out of that is a lot different than the high I get out of just having a really good game of Agricola. And then
there's a real joy to any game that leaves you talking at the table, where the night is hard to end because there's so much you want to talk about even after the game is over. And that's the height of board gaming in some sense.
I'd agree. And it's really what I think kind of drives the hobby to a point. It's like there's a lot of people who say, like, well, why do you board game over video games? It's like, well, I want human interaction. And that's the crux of it. Because you don't talk during a game, but you certainly have a shared experience at the end that you all can kind of talk about. I wasn't expecting to go deep today. But
philosophy all night.
Yeah, it's like the philosophy of 18xx. There you go. There's a song in there for you. So for those of you playing along at home, Ambie does amazing song parody videos, and I say amazing because I have, like, this glass has more musical talent than I do and can carry a better tune, I might add. At least it gets one note right. But I'm amazed at the way you can turn phrase and you can write lyrics that all make sense. So how much effort goes into just doing, like, the parodies are relatively short because, songs are 3 to 4 minutes. But it doesn't take 3 to 4 minutes worth of work to come up with that. No, come on, not a chance. How long does it take you to put one of those together?
So it depends on the song.
Okay.
So one of the ones that I did this year was a parody of The Room Where It Happens from Hamilton, about 2 rooms and a boom. And that one was a lot of work for the lyrics because it's a rap, and that has a lot of words and a lot of different rhymes. So that was pretty hard to do the lyrics for it. But like other songs where it's just like a normal song with fewer lyrics, it's a lot easier. So I don't know how long it takes because I'm always doing it just when I think of a lyric, I write it down. I have a Google Doc where I write down the lyrics.
Just kind of creatively just explode all over the page constantly. Just kind of like, oh, wait, I think I'll do a song from Frozen. Oh, wait.
Yeah, but I have like a column there's on the column on the left, I have the actual lyrics, and then on the right, I have the parody lyrics so that I can match up the meter and the rhythm and rhymes.
I hear all that, and I just hear a lot of work that I know I'm no good at. So I'm thankful for people who can put it all together because I find it extremely humorous. I mean, I'm not quite the Weird Al fan that that Chaz is or Crystal is. That's a whole nother level of fandom that I'm a very, very casual person, but I can still appreciate how difficult it is to turn a phrase, and I can't get the original out of my head far enough to make something even like that make sense. So it's the Rubiks Cube of music, Dan. That's what it is.
But when you're talking about getting the original out of your head, it's funny, after I write a parody for a song, sometimes then I forget the original lyrics or get confused. Like if I'm singing it in my head, I have partly the original lyrics and then partly the parody lyrics. It's all confusing.
I totally believe that because, I confuse easily, so that would drive me insane. Insane. Well, this has been a ton of fun, and one of the other things that you love is Disney. We kind of touched on that earlier. So I think that Dan put together a nice little game for us tonight. So we're going to take a quick break, and then he's going to explain what we're doing, and then we're going to play it, I think. So I think I'm excited. We'll be right back after this. Have you or a loved one been hurt in a board game accident, by a table, cut by a card, or worse? Have you suffered a DVT from sitting at a board game too long? Have you or someone you love lost fingers, appendages, or even life due to these games? Well, here at Meeple and Bits, we are the board game lawyers. No one understands board game law like we do. We will fight hard for your right. So be sure to contact us before you make any decision. You can reach us at 1-800-555-BITS. That's 1-800-555-BITZ. And remember to call us because we don't get paid unless you do. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ambie is still here. Dan is not. He moved. But Dan is about to walk us through the game tonight, which we're going to attempt. Hey, wait a second. I just realized something. Dave Luza does song parodies, and I play Codenames duet with him. And now you do song parodies, and I'm doing Codenames duet with you. It's like we're doing duets together. I kind of feel like music's finding its way. All right. Well, this is the only kind of duet I'm good at, so this will have to do. So we decided to combine, Dan decided to combine Disney and duets. So, Mr. Dan, why don't you explain what's going on?
Well, I don't know that there's all that much to explain, but we've got a Codenames board here using the Disney Codenames set. We're going to play it by duet rules. So this is going to be a co-op game with you and Ambie. I will be the magic finger here, pointing on your behalf and applying the tokens as you guys find all the agents.
Excellent. And I think I know half of those.
That's an extra wrinkle when you play the themed versions of Codenames, is whether you even know what you're looking at.
I know. Well, to fill a box of Codenames Disney, come on, there's got to be some deep cuts in there for sure, right? Mm-hmm. There's got to be. So, Dan, how long do we have to complete this?
So, on every turn, one of these timer tokens, starting with this lovely hound here, will be consumed, so that you guys have a grand total of 9 turns in which to identify all 15 agents. So while you're both staring, start to think about a clue. Whoever has the first clue can go ahead and start this off. We don't need to be formal about it.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to go if you're ready to receive.
Sure.
All right. So I have dog 2.
So there's the tramp, top middle. I'm pointing at it. Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then there's the lady in the tramp too in that one, yeah.
No, that's a neutral.
Oh.
This is when you realize you're like,
Dog 2, huh?
Sometimes you don't see something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Okay.
this little dog here will indicate the unsuccessful contact where you ran instead into this puppy.
Of 2 dogs on it.
And that'll point to, from my view here, Chris is up top and Ambie's below. So that'll point down, indicating that that's the direction of the failed guess.
All right.
Okay. Toys 2.
And there is a mixture here of words and pictures to make it more exciting. So don't just
Yeah.
your eyes jump to these 3 columns of pictures, but
All right. So I'm going to go with the aliens from Toy Story in the my lower right. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
The suspense was killing me.
Sorry.
And
I'm sorry.
I believe the other one's going to have to be Woody, even though technically all of it could be toys, right? Because it's Disney after all. But it's a cross between Piggy and Woody, but I'm going to go with Woody.
Piggy, you say, huh? For for Mr. Ham, you're calling
Mr.
him,
Ham is
you're calling him
Piggy. Yes.
No, that's neutral.
All right. Well, it's not an assassin. That's all that matters.
Okay, is it? Right.
Well, to me it is.
No, it's neutral.
So this
Lower right.
this camera lady here will indicate that Woody was a miss.
All
okay,
right.
back to you.
Back to me. All right. Classic 2.
Classic. Only 2 though.
I know. And I apologize.
Okay. So the Winnie the Pooh characters are classic. Jungle Book is classic. Pluto's classic and a dog. That's a lot more than 2. What's the most? I think I'm gonna hit Pluto.
Pluto's good.
3 agents discovered.
Yeah, I think I'll go Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse is correct.
And then I will stop.
Outstanding.
No more guesses. Okay,
That wasn't guess. That was knowledge.
there you go.
Just saying, Dan.
I'll say. Okay, ready?
Yep.
I'll say silly 2.
Silly 2. Well, it doesn't get much more silly than Tigger. I'm gonna go with Tigger first. All right.
I keep
Man,
assuming that
you know how to make the heart stop. Just saying.
5 agents down. We're 1/3 of the way. Oh, I am cheating, by the way. I should be removing a timer token on each turn, no matter how it ends.
Right.
So we've had 2 that ended with unsuccessful guesses, and Ambie chose to stop. So let's remove an additional timer token there.
Gotcha.
Put it down.
All right. And I think I'm gonna go with the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland in the middle there.
Well, I don't think that's where that's rabbit's from, but
No?
I'll happily point to rabbit from the 100 Acre Wood.
Oh, is that it? It is actually rabbit.
No, it's neutral.
All right. Well, it's neutral. That's what's important. All right.
So he's still in play.
Yeah, and I can't even do my
Ambie.
extra guess. Ah, crap.
Nope, that
Forgot
ended the
about
turn.
ham. All right, I still owe you ham. Critic 1. I hate to do a 1. I hate it.
Okay, I'm going to say left, middle. That one, yeah.
Yep, correct.
6 agents down. Do you have any other guesses, Ambie?
No.
Okay. We will remove a timer token. And we're back to you for a clue.
We'll say,
All right, I owe you ham.
huh?
I owe you ham.
I'll say floating 2.
All right, so I'll do ham for 1.
Yes.
Okay.
7.
I will do the pirate ship in the middle for 2.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to do balloons.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
All right.
Big
Well
turn
done.
there with 3 more. Bring your total to 9. 6 agents left to discover. Are you done guessing, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was it. She only gave me 2.
Unlike normal code names, you can actually take as many guesses as
Oh,
you
really?
Oh,
Good to know, but I ain't touching that.
All right. So we'll remove this. 3 turns left.
All right.
And of course, it's important to note that the neutrals are still valid guesses for the other player. So
Right.
these 2 neutrals could be guessed by Ambie. Lady and the Tramp could be guessed by. I'm sorry. No, Lady and the Tramp could be guessed by Chris, and these 2 could be guessed by Ambie. That's right.
Right.
I think that's what I said the first time.
Let's go with Ralph 1 because I'm the worst.
These ones.
I'm going to go on Fix It Felix Jr.
Yeah. I just can't find the correlation, and every time I do, it's not a good one. Because it's like 4 other things could also fit.
Yeah.
Are we done guessing?
We are. Well, I
yeah.
am. Yeah. You're done?
I'm done guessing.
Fair enough. And Jason Statham in the top corner there, too.
Yeah. So 10 down, 5 to go.
How many
And
rounds?
2
left?
turns.
I'll say Henchman 2.
Henchman 2. All right. So I definitely like the hyena.
Is that a point?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And then I think it's going to be Ka. I think.
Is that a point?
Wait.
Final answer.
Yes.
All right.
Ooh, 12 down.
How many left?
3 more.
All right, Ambie, for all the marbles.
This is the last turn?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
No pressure whatsoever. It all does not hinge on you. And a really crappy clue from me.
There is a sudden death turn at the end.
Oh, is there?
But there are no more clues given.
All right. So, first off, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's been lovely. Second, it's going to be Blue 3.
Okay, I'm gonna. top left.
This bridge up here.
Yeah.
Correct.
Ooh, still alive.
It's still alive.
I'll go right middle.
This beach over here. Moana Beach. Mautanui.
No.
Oh,
That is neutral.
Okay. So that will conclude the regulation portion of the game as this lovely lady. Does she have a pizza?
Does she have a pizza?
I don't know what she's got there.
Oof.
Wait, who? Oh, I can't see.
I just meant this neutral token.
Yeah. All right. So
So now you have not met an assassin, so the game is still alive. You are now allowed to continue making guesses. Neither of you is allowed to give any more clues. There's no formal turns during this phase, so anyone who has a guess is welcome to offer it. Any wrong guess, anything that's neutral or an agent, ends the game.
The night sky.
correct.
Okay. All right. This game is alive.
Yeah.
A single gentleman left over here.
I don't think I owe you anything.
The blue sky. Okay. I'm going to say Timon. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. There's blue everywhere. He's more blue. Yeah, Timon.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, look at that. Snatched that from the jaws of defeat there.
That was so close.
Oh,
So let me see if I was right about what I'm thinking, by the way.
there's blue everywhere.
Okay, he's not blue. He's a
Well,
violet.
yeah, that was it. I was going more on their cart. It's the only thing I could find, and of course, like the beach is like that was the weird one. I'm like, I knew you might guess it, but I had to try. Good job.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
I had given up hope. At a certain
How
point.
dare you, sir? How dare you?
Clearly foolish to doubt you.
Well done. That was totally your win. You gave the best clues and you pulled it out at the end, so I take no credit for that whatsoever. So well done. Thanks for playing along. I had a lot of fun. So, Miss Ambie, where can people find you if they want to find you on the internets and things like that?
So you can find my podcast, Board Game Blitz, at boardgameblitz.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Like Board Game Blitz is our usual username. And I'm Ambie Rona on Twitter and other social media sites. And my YouTube with the song parodies is Ambie Rona, youtube.com/Ambie Rona.
Awesome. Well, that was certainly a lot of fun. I'm so glad we finally got to have you on the big show, as it were.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to be on finally.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for making time, coming on, and braving everything, including Dan's game. He's not as scary as people think. He's kind of, I wouldn't say he's huggable, but he's, he's still fun nonetheless. So.
I'm roly-poly. Does that count for
Roly-poly works. I can get down with that. So, well, in any event, thank you, Miss Ambie, for being on. Thank you, Mr. Dan, for putting on the game and being a hand model tonight. And be sure to sing along the next time you game all night. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our efforts at comedy and fun, please support us on Podpledge. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to engage with us on Board Game Geek Guild 3134. You can also check us out on our website, gameallnightshow.com. And this show has been made possible through supporters like these. Game All Night is proud to be sponsored by Game Toppers. Check them out at GameToppersLLC.com, upgrading your gaming experience. Angry octopus. Do you know how many of those things I must have thrown in my lifetime?
I'm so glad we got that in. Like, we got to get the speed queuing. Thank you so much, Ambie, for...
You know how excited I am if I get one side lined up?
Okay, my single was actually 15 seconds.
That's pretty amazing.
Average 17.8.
I don't think the payoff's going to be as good as you want. It's more... My ear gets sore after a minute or a couple hours of this.
Okay. Yes,
Ready?
having the monitor in your ear the whole time.
Yeah.